Welcome to KJTV for your greatest news and programs. I'm glad you're here to listen to wonderful program coming to you. And please don't forget to subscribe or give us thumbs up. Yeah, welcome to the studio, Dr. Machoka. Welcome. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, we are here. I know we had a very busy weekend. We were talking about elections, and what is your general take about the turnout last weekend?
Thank you, Dr. Madi, for having me come to the studio to give my sentiments on what I observed over the last weekend, where we had a very good turnout for Mwanyagetinge Elections. First, I will want to say, or I would like to start with this quote from Congressman John Lewis. He said this before he passed on, that democracy is not a state, it is an act. And what he meant was that America's democracy is not guaranteed. It's only as strong as the willingness to fight for it, to guard it and never take it for granted. And protecting our democracy takes struggle. It takes sacrifice, but there is joy in it and there is progress, because we, the people, have the power to build the future. This applies directly to our Mwanyagetinge and Omogusi in general here in Minnesota. My observation throughout this election was that people took democracy for granted.
Yeah.
And people did not, some of the people did not listen to what the people were talking about. And I'm referring to the regime that was there before.
Yeah.
What my observations were is that they were campaigning against what they have done and forgot that the people were very observant on other things that mattered most than what they did. Okay. They also forgot and campaigned as a group and did not campaign as an individual. So that, I think, is what I can say brought them down as a team.
Okay.
Whereas the other team, despite the fact that they were a team, they took time and capitalized on individual campaigns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I would like, we had many seats which were contested, more especially the executive seats. And one of it, the organizing secretary, that was the result. And I would want to see there the incumbent, Dr. Chris Omare got 42% of the votes cast. And Wilfred Nyangaresi got 58% of the votes cast. And this is when you look at the last result, the 2 years ago, Dr. Chris, who was running for organizing secretary, there were 3 candidates. I think there were 5 candidates. Is it 5? Yeah. Where we had Chris won by 3% then. But it was a crowded, there was a stiff competition from Nelson Magutu, who at 5%, and Ondieki at 5%, and Seth Gekonde had 33%. Now, what is the chinks is it was the incumbent, but now he lost the seat. What can you say about that results?
Well, my good friend Dr. Chris is a very nice leader. He knows how to deal with people, but I think the main reason why he lost was because he did not become very open, if I can say. He wasn't very open and transparent, especially when he was being asked some questions. he
Mm.
could not answer those questions directly
Yeah.
and kept referring to the the whole team as per what they had done, instead
Okay.
of coming up clear and saying, this is what I've done as a person, as an individual,
Mm.
what my role was, and this is what I was supposed to do, and this is what I did.
Okay. And then we come to the position of no, not vice president. I wanted us to talk about yeah, treasurer. Treasurer, Joyce Ontere had 30% of the votes and is an incumbent, while Donald Wako got 70% of the votes. And looking at the previous election, Joyce had won by 58% of the votes cast. What is your take on that?
Well, Joyce is a very good treasurer, and
Yeah.
treasurers don't talk much. But I think Joyce lost. Joyce lost her votes during the AGM. That is when
Okay.
she lost her votes, because the report that she gave was just
Mm.
a shallow report.
Okay.
It wasn't detailed. It's like
Mm.
anybody else, any lay person can write up, or somebody can write up something for you to read,
Okay.
right? And
Oh,
when the people kept talking through the web, the webs, our social medias, I
mm.
did not see any one of the leaders trying to respond to the questions that the electorate had,
Okay.
except for, I don't know, I have another good learned friend of mine, Mr. Daniel, who
Mm.
was answering for everybody's question.
Who, Mr. Daniel? Who?
Daniel Abuga.
Oh, okay.
So, in essence, what Daniel was doing,
Uh,
he wasn't helping this team at all.
okay.
Instead, he was agitating the electorate to a point where they lost trust in this team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now that's the treasurer, and then we let's talk about the secretary. The secretary was interesting. Officer Nyaikono was the incumbent 40%, and Yabes Nyamasege 60% of the votes cast. Now, the only thing is that Officer Nyaikondo, I think the previous election, he was elected as a county representative of Shaban County. And upon the resignation of the secretary, I think he was on an acting capacity. Was so there's no election we compare back. So what will you comment about that race? How the votes went like?
Well, like you said, Ovisanya Ikondo was a county rep,
Mm.
and the accusation, when I was doing my opinion polls, the accusation was that Ovisa was handpicked,
Okay.
and therefore it was under the direction of whoever picked him up.
Okay.
And so whatever, like I said earlier,
Mm.
whatever they did as a team, and they were getting one direction from one person.
Yeah, and I know we had a candid discussion during their debates, and that thing came up. How he was and picked to be the secretary. I think it was also it came up that it was unconstitutional because upon the vacant seat, an election need to be conducted to fill the seat. So that could have been also one of the reasons. Now, then after that, I think the vice president. Yeah, the seat of the vice president was very interesting. There had three candidates. Robert Nyagaka had 8% of the votes cast. Uh, Daniel Amenya had 33% of the votes, and Gaston Nyamari got 59% of the votes cast. One interesting thing is that the 2 years election ago, Amenya won by a landslide. Actually, he had the highest number of the votes cast in the last election because he had 85% of the votes, while his cross challenger had only 15%. Say something about that result. Quite interesting, from 85% to 33% in 2 years.
It is very interesting to lose favorability within a short span of time. But one thing I know is this: as a vice president, you deputize your president.
Yeah.
So in the absence of the president, you pretty much have everything at your fingertips. When the president is not in office, you are the acting president.
Mm.
Uh, when a vice president is asked a question and he says that he's not authorized to answer the question,
Mm.
that doesn't rest well with the electorate.
Yeah.
Because you speak for the president. Anything you speak for the president.
Mm.
Right now, I understand that the president, the outgoing president, is out of the country. So in any case, if there is anything, we go to the vice president because he's the one in charge, or who is sitting at the chair at the time until the president comes back. So when a vice president, in short, says that he doesn't know or is not authorized to speak, that means that you are in office to be seen, not to be heard.
Okay. Yeah, well, and then now we come to president. Holder Momanyi pulled 38% of the votes, while Rosrita Nyaberi got 62% of the votes. And when you look at the last election, when Hulda won the election, she had 50% of the votes, while followed by 45% by the second person, and another one 6%. Why the drop?
Well, first of all, I have to say the time President Hulda came in, Mwanyagetinge was at this worst state.
Mm.
Thanks for Jui, who just held it so that it could not vanish completely until we had a new leadership.
Yeah.
So when Hulda came in, the Omogusi as a whole, we were yearning for new leadership. She came in as a young woman who had a vision, and everybody really wanted to have Mwanyagetinge revitalized and be brought back to life. She, and I will say until her last day in office, she's been doing well. She's very vocal. She knows what she's doing. She's very vigilant. It's only that I'll say maybe the people around her might have misled her and misadvised her. She's a very good leader. And what I can say that changed the whole election for Hulda is our missing in action. What I've realized is our people like to see you physically so that you can connect. So she did not connect towards the last days of the election. There was loss of touch. So Hulda, Rosalita, the reason why she won the high is because of our presence. She was available. She was able to mingle with people. Actually, the people that I talked to, 3 people out of 5, they told me that they had one-on-one talk with Rosalita. So which tells me that one-on-one connection is very vital and that changed the minds of people who voted.
Good. Now that we have looked at this election, what leadership lessons can we learn from the general election? We have compared the previous election and the current election. What is your any leadership lesson any leader can learn from it overall?
Number one learning lesson from this past election is that leadership is not a take it all. Leadership requires listening.
Mm,
Listen to the people that you work with, listen to the people that you work for, so that you can
mm,
be able to understand what is the real need. For the last leadership, I understand that there were people who quit even before the team even put together
mm,
their act, and some of them came out outrightly
mm,
towards the last days of the election, accusing the leadership, which
mm,
I don't necessarily applaud, because there are some things that we
mm,
need to square in the boardroom. But I'll say the leadership requires everybody's one piece and another piece. It's like a puzzle. You have to work as a team and listen to the people that you're working for you to be able to be successful. It's not the things that leaders think that might be important to the constituency that they think is best. And what I'm referring to this is the 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 grants that I've heard that Mwanyagetinge brought in. That's not all that the Omogusi as a person needed. There's more. There's more important
mm,
things that are even, if I remember well, the leadership that is going out campaigned for, but those things did not happen. I understand that we
mm,
needed a community center. We didn't. I don't
mm,
know where that ended, or things are still in the works. I
mm.
understand that we needed some programs that were more geared towards our cultural values. That is,
Okay.
when comparing to other cultural groups here in Minnesota, not or even in the U.S. But it looks like we looked. I mean, we capitalized more into things that were more tangible
Mm.
than things that were more valuable for the community. So leaders should listen more than they talk.
Uh, but it's good you have said, and I want us to see why what happened during the when they came to the office. You know, they came during a COVID time, and you know, during COVID time, they did not have much activities. To, they could not do many things like they were supposed to do. They were working under circumstances of that. Don't you think we could have taken that into consideration? Maybe give them a chance for another 2 years?
You're right. You're right, Dr. Mani, on that. But on the other hand, that could be
Mm,
the time to sit down and put brains together to diversify on the things that you campaigned for.
mm,
That, of course, we are in the pandemic, but there are things that could not stop because of the pandemic.
mm,
There are things that could continue uh, even during the pandemic.
mm,
Let's take our, let's say, for example, the city leadership or the state leadership.
mm,
That did not stop because of the pandemic. Actually, that's when they worked harder
mm,
to ensure that everybody's healthy was taken care of. That's
mm,
when they passed a lot of bills
mm,
to help the people of the state so that they could be able to get the help they needed.
mm,
But we looked more into the stomach satisfaction
mm,
than the most important things. We looked more into getting unga
mm,
and other things for the people of our community realize or thinking that Omogusi is more focused on unga.
But that is the culture of food. You were talking that they failed to do, because even you, Dr. Machoka, you cannot go the whole week without eating bunga.
I
I think
understand.
they were doing they were giving you the type of food you want.
I understand that,
I
Dr.
mean,
Man.
if it was a Liberian community, you are giving them unga to not make sense to them. You would rather give them rice. But
I understand
I
that,
thought they
Dr.
were sensitive.
Mandy. But the
Yeah.
thing is, the focus shifted. The
Mm,
focus shifted more into providing for the bodily need than the bigger picture of the Omogusi in Minnesota.
mm.
There were there were a lot of things. There were
Hello. Hello. Hey, Dr. Machoka, we have lost you. Mm. Hello. Welcome to KJTV for your greatest news and program. Hello, Dr. Machoka. Hello. I think we must have lost him in the connection. His connection. Yeah. As we were giving the analysis of the election, where our uh, uh, analyst has gone out on this. We I don't know, sir. So yeah, we had the election the weekend, and I think which there was a very high turnout during the election, which actually surpassed what other people had done. Let me see if Dr. Machoka is back. Hello, Dr. Machoka.
hi. Sorry, I got kicked out.
No, I think there was some internet connection. So
Okay.
yeah, you were talking something we could not
Yeah.
hear.
So what I was saying is, yes, of course, food is important,
Mm,
and it's good to take care of the physical needs, but we should always look at the bigger picture and the goals that we are working for to achieve for the
mm,
entire community. Because even the unga, I don't think every Omogusi received the unga.
yeah. Okay. I want you to look at and I was reading yesterday. One of the local newspaper Mushale reported in the Mushale it was Mwanyagetinge President Huda Momanyi loses the election beat. And they had done analysis, something they said that, which I thought it was, uh, uh, okay, okay, they said Miss Hulda Momanyi history, the organization is first elected female president, and who last year almost won a Democratic nomination for state senate, lost her bid for the election Saturday, according to the result released just before midnight. And then they said the stunning margin of defeat served as a rebuke of Ms. Momanyi history, even as members acknowledged her administration was responsible for the largest influx of grant money into the organization in its almost 4 decades old existence. One board member who resigned midway through her term attributed her move to the fixation on fundraising by the administration on the expense of the organization's other needs. Uh, what is your take on that analysis? Is that correct analysis about it?
Well, like I said, that kind of ties to what I was saying earlier.
Mm,
And fundraising for the organization is good, but fundraising at the expense of the organization is bad. So if I'm understanding that statement well, it looks like there was some fundraising in the name of bringing in more grants to the organization, but there is some uh, gray areas that we don't understand.
Okay.
Of course, I did see that the organization, when they were the leadership, when they were campaigning, they said that they had brought the organization from 300 some dollars to 240 some $1,000,
Mm,
which the organization, I don't know if they still ask the money or it's part of the money that they received and have used. So we don't know what is left.
mm,
And what was I know grants, they have they have a price tag on it,
mm,
or they
mm,
have an attachment to why and what it's intended to do.
mm,
What I don't understand is, was the intended projects
mm.
accomplished?
Okay. On the same analysis, I think saying that Rosita Nyaveri who got 62%, uh, uh, he had fed off criticism that had, I mean, organization. You know, there was something he said, Nyaveri hammered the alleged transparency, failing in instances in prolific community TV. Of course, he says, and that's true. There was much talked about, there was lack of accountability and transparency. Do you agree with the same statement on that analysis?
Well, in part, I'll say yes.
Mm,
I honestly will say that I never paid much attention to what the organization was doing in terms
mm,
of getting grants and using the money,
mm,
until when the election came in. That's when I gathered some of these. I don't know if they are facts or
mm,
they are speculations, but if we are hearing this from one party and the other party is not willing to, they should have cleared the air. They should have come out and say, well, you're saying that we were not transparent, but this is what we got. This is
mm,
how we used it. This is what is left. And this is what is, so that the electorate could be more clearer to understand that even if you're saying that we were not transparent,
mm,
this is what happened while we were in office. But
mm.
up to date, I don't think there's any one of the leaders who was in office before has even said clearly that this is what happened.
Well, now, what do you take of this if we are to build the organization? Because also we have to build leaders, and we would also want to benefit from the experience of leaders. What could you advise the incoming administration uh, what to do to avoid losing an election without getting re-elected?
Well, what I could advise is this. This is my take on this. Mwanyagetinge has been around for many years now.
Mm,
Actually, I can even say Mwanyagetinge is one of the oldest organizations here in Minnesota
mm,
and has numbers. The new incoming leadership should capitalize in putting up a website
mm,
where all things should be available,
mm,
that anybody who has any question can go to the website and be able to see what they're asking for. Like now, the grant money, that is public information. If Mwanyagetinge is filing taxes, the Form 990 should be available on the website for everybody to be able to see. So that could avoid a lot of questions. That could avoid a lot of accusations, because these things should be open to the public. So my number one thing is, let's have a website where every member of Mwanyagetinga should be able to easily log in and read what are the happenings, what are the events coming up, what have we done, and all those things should be there. Instead of waiting for somebody to write on either Telegram or WhatsApp to
mm.
know what events are coming up.
Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, it was nice having you to look at the election. I know you are a busy person. Thank you for your time. I think we'll stop here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Madi, for having me.
Okay. Thank
Thanks.
you. See you
Bye.
later.